Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you the reason I started to take antidepressants. What does it feel in the beginning? What does it feel in the middle? What does it feel half a year later? What could you expect, and would I recommend it or not? So, full disclosure, I used Sertraline. In the beginning it started by 50 milligrams, and at some point I increased to 75. I even touched on the 100, and then I decreased it again. I will elaborate upon that soon. So just to give a little bit of background, I started to take them about half a year ago. It was a tough time for me because I was doing really bad financially, and there was a lot of stress in those terms. I didn't know what I would do for work, so I mostly have been an entrepreneur working on websites and branding of my clients, and that has been very fulfilling. But I did come to a point where I was just not able to sustain myself, so I had to search for a job, and it was just quite a miserable time. And I know there's difference between a tough week, a tough 2 weeks, or more of this feeling of apathy that is just developing over time that really made me question what is the point, and that has become quite a consistent thing around my mind, that basically what it did is just deflate my motivation bubble so much that just doing basic tasks became troublesome and hard and annoying, and I was just not functioning the way I would want to function as a functional human being, right? I was having a lot of issue there, um, and I like prior to that, I just have to say that I was not necessarily a recommender of antidepressants. In fact, I do not like a lot of things that big pharma has to offer. But I did come to a place where I think I don't have that much to lose anymore. So if this does end up bring me some sort of relief, it will be great, because, and otherwise then I will need to search just another way, and that's fine. But I became open to the idea out of a place of, I would say, desperation. But just to reframe it, because you can say that it's desperation, but it's also bravery, because I was able to stand up to my biases and question them and say, okay, well, how did you conclude enough data to get to the conclusion that antidepressants are not a good thing, that they will not work on you? I heard a friend also say that he didn't feel a lot of emotions and he felt plastic. I heard people talk about their libido issue, but everybody's experience was also very different. So what I understood is that since we are all so different, it's very hard to come to a point of conclusion on what it would do to me and if that's something that I should be taking or not. So I had to have the bravery that was motivated by desperation to go at it and just try it out. And on the same time, another disclosure, I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed when I was a teenager, but I didn't take any of the supplements and pills because they also came with severe side effects. And as a teenager, that made me very introverted and very closed off. So that was not something I was also really open to. But at the same time, I was challenging my beliefs. I also decided, you know what, I'm just going to try. And if that does not work for me after 2 months, I can always just drop it or find an alternative, because something has got to work in the end, and I would want to try at least. I have to give myself, out of basic respect, the choice to try certain things before I write them off completely, It's just the way that I do things. I have to be a bit more open-minded around that. So I started to take them about half a year ago. How does it feel in the beginning? Well, I would say that the first week, 2 weeks, were a little bit weird. I didn't feel too much effects. There was some moments of placebo, or maybe not, I don't know. But I did have some stomach bowel things, irregular need to go to the toilet, serotonin. I could really feel the serotonin increasing indeed. My body just had to get used to it. And in the beginning, there's also, I had a little bit moment of that I became a little bit anxious as well, and also a little bit extra apathic. And I was warned about that, so that is the thing. I knew what I would that there's a period that you just kind of need to just get through, right? Yeah, and so that's something that I had in my awareness of, like, okay, I'm not going to take this too seriously right now. I'm just going to continue and hope it will be better on the other side. So I would say very noticeable effects. For me, I would say that 2 weeks after that, I already started to feel things, but my doctor said that perhaps it's just placebo, could be, but I would say maybe a month, give or take, that I started to feel it. And what it feels is this sense of everything's okay, everything's actually good. And this thought of, it's just the thought that gets tuned down, why should I do it, what it's all for, but rather it's being, I will not say that you feel high and amazing, but you do feel significantly better because you don't have those thoughts around, and perspective just becomes more positive. So in the way that I was able to really utilize that is that when there's this negative self-talk and self-interpretation, all the motivation just goes down, and then it's really hard to start up from there to make positive change. So we are actually kind of like diving down and down and down. But what this does is brings us in a place where we are a little bit up, and then naturally, since we start to be a bit more positive, we also start to make more positive things as well. So things become a little bit more simplified. So you would, let's say something negative happens, something work. There's less of this downward misery, but more of like, okay, that happened, now what? And more proactive approach, because there's less, this tendency to dive is just way less, which is amazing. So for me, it really helped me get out of the hole, basically. It basically puts you a little bit higher so you can take yourself up and climb out of there, but by doing actions, of course, but it comes naturally. So that is the beginning phase. And something else I marked with Sertraline, that's what I took, was a reduced anxiety. And I don't necessarily, I don't suffer from like disabling anxiety, but I certainly have social anxiety at times where I feel I don't know what to say, awkward. But because I felt just baseline good, like things can come, things can go, but I'm good, it made me more confident in myself that it will be okay, because it's okay. And that is so powerful for me. I enjoyed it so much. It actually give me a lot more freedom to be myself and express myself, and just take more risky things, because at worst the people are just gonna not stay, but that's totally fine. I'm so fine with myself, I don't even need them. So this is a very positive experience for me. That was very positive, at least, that I had from Sertraline. And I was taking it every day. So around the middle time, I would say 4 months in or something like that, I don't know if it's placebo or not, but I felt as if the effects are going down. So it just became a little bit less strong. It was still there, but I felt, okay, the anxiety thing kind of gone by now, so I'm kind of back to baseline, to where I usually was. And I still feel kind of okay, but I'm also like, this sort of heaviness started to come back. So I talked with my psychiatrist. She recommended to increase the dose to 100. I've done that for some time. It did change things, but it did not work the way I expected it. But I'll have to be very honest with you that I also didn't take it for the time that I needed to really, really take it. Like, I didn't take it for like a month and a half, 2 months, to be able to tell you I've done that, I've tried that. But I think I tried it for a bit less than a month, perhaps 3 weeks. And I don't know, I don't think it necessarily made things much better for me personally. It made things a little bit more plastic. And I didn't really like that. It felt a little bit more layered. I can't really access a certain part of my raw emotions, which I could also not access some of them before. But now it's even worse. Now it's in a place where it starts to kind of bother me. If I'm talking with someone and they're sharing some vulnerable story and I can't, it became a bit hard to find empathy, because for that I have to resonate with them, and I can't, because I can't go to these frequencies. So I noticed that, and I also got this feedback from women that there's a level that they can't really connect with me. And also I started to notice decrease in my libido. So my libido is not that strong anyway, but it started to get less, and actually I started to get a little bit of erectile issues, because there was a part of me that just was not horny enough to want to have sex. And that started to also make me feel a little bit insecure in my relationships, even though I kind of feel fine with myself. I know that it's reversible, but still, I want to be able to enjoy, to give pleasure, and so forth. And I feel like if I'm not able to do that, there's other anxieties that come along with that, basically. But so I started to experience the more down effects than I experienced positive ones. So what I've decided to do is go back again to 50. I would say that the transition was also quite tough. It was, it was a bit of an emotional turbulence. I was holding tight, but it was, after 2-3 weeks, it's kind of getting okay again. And I found some balance in the 50. But I'm going to jump to the last phase. So around 6 months in, I'm working, and I cut my hand. That was really recently, so this is why it's so alive currently at the moment. And I came back home, and they told me in the surgery that I need to do surgery. They told me I need to bring my pills there or something like that. It's not a big deal at all, but something in me said, all right, it's time to drop it for now, and we will come back to it when we really need it, because currently the 50 milligram was not doing a lot. And I thought it's just an inner voice inside that tells you yes or no. That's the only way that I can explain it, because now I feel like, okay, it's just the end of it for now. But that's how I work. So for me, these things are very intuitive. I kind of connect to that, and I can feel that, and then I make decisions upon that. So I'm going to make another video, because I don't think it's extremely relevant, because some of you who are watching are about to just start with it, right? And I don't want to also project my experience so much on you, because I'm I'm an interesting, we are all interesting people, but for me, I'm an interesting person, and I experience things a little bit weirdly, I guess. But overall, would I recommend antidepressants to people? Yes, 100%. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling depressed, it's not even about sadness. Sadness is fine. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling this apathy, that you just don't have the energy to go out, everything feels heavy, everything's a mess, and you lost control over your ability to interpret reality and and see it and build it the way that you want, and you're just diving down, give it a shot. Give it a shot, because it could really help you a lot. Bear in mind, the beginning is turbulent. You might feel anxiety, you might feel depression, but you will be better off on the other side. And you can start to take actions that, if you do them correctly and you build your life in a way that fits you better, you will probably be able to stop taking them if you want. But some people I know just stay on them for a long time. So it's really person dependent how we all react to certain things, right? But I 100% recommend it. I think it's great. I actually didn't suffer a lot of side effects at all from the 50 milligram, except for being able to extend my orgasm. I like that one. I had no complaints. Yeah, but the point is that it was very good, not many side effects, and very useful for me personally. I feel like it really helped me get through this period. And I invite you to open your mind, basically, to try it out. Because you can always stop. And even if what you just have to keep in mind, just a few extra points that are just really important, please. If one of them doesn't work, don't give up. Because there's a lot of other ones as well that you should try. And they all have we are so different as people. So the chances of the first one striking right are possible For me, it worked, but I know people where it doesn't, and I know people who stopped after trying one or two. But there's a lot. There's also a lot of various different types. There's SNRI, SSRI, DNRIs, TCAs. There's a lot of MAOIs. So there's a lot of antidepressant that works in very different ways on your body, and you might just find that another one is good. But just keep trying. Just keep trying, because you owe it to yourself. If I'm honest, I don't want to push the narrative that it's going to solve all your problems. It's not. But will it help you? Yeah. And I think that if you are suffering from depression, and I know how it feels, then that is the way to go, yeah. And then afterwards you can see if you can lower the dose or just completely stop it. Yeah, I hope this has been useful for you all. Thank you for sticking around. You might see me a lot with these sort of shirts. I just can't put anything else on. So, but yeah, I just want to keep it cozy as well. It's very it's an intimate thing, right? I don't want to be. There's no professionality here for me, really. I just want to be raw, and help you by sharing what I've learned throughout my life, because I've went through some stuff, and I think that it could be valuable for certain people. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.